Breaking now at 6 o'clock at Delaware County Medical Center, the scene of a deadly shooting. Police say a patient inside Mercy Fitzgerald Wellness Center opened fire. A female caseworker was killed, a doctor injured. That gunman was also shot. Chopper 3 live over Mercy Fitzgerald right now. The Wellness Center was immediately placed on lockdown as police went room by room clearing the building. That center is on Lansdowne Avenue in Darby. The shooting happened in the psychiatric unit that's connected to the main hospital by a pedestrian bridge. Good evening, I'm Jessica Dean.
And I'm Chris May. We're going to go right out to the scene where the Delaware County DA, Jack Whalen, is giving us another update.
But what we can tell you right now is that this individual is still at the hospital being in surgery. The individual, we believe we've identified him now at this point in time. Richard Plotz is the perpetrator. He is a psychiatric patient here at the Mercy Wellness Center. He came in today a little after 2 p.m. With his caseworker. Her identity is still being withheld, although some of her kin has been notified. Not all of her kin's been notified. He came in with her, went into the doctor's office. At that point, a worker did confirm that he heard some loud arguing going on. They came in and they actually opened the door, saw him pointing a gun at the doctor. They did not notice the caseworker at that point. They shut the door very quietly, went immediately called 911. No shots were fired at that point in time. However, what they did determine is a few minutes went by and then they did hear multiple shots fired. After that, they did try to force their way back into this office. They did note that the doctor at that point was covering his face. He was bleeding from the head profusely. The individual still had a gun. The perpetrator still had his gun. They were able to, another doctor and another caseworker were able to wrestle him to the ground, disarm him, and at that point in time, police actually arrived. Police were very prompt in this particular situation to respond. They're trained to respond to this type of situation. And within minutes, we had a massive police response here in Delaware County with Yaden Borough Police, Darby Police, as well as surrounding police departments. Also, our tactical teams were activated and did a tremendous job. Right now, what you see going on behind you is that the hospital workers are being released. They were under lockdown. They're being released at this point in time. The hospital is open at this point. However, the building behind me where the shooting occurred is still closed because the crime scene is still going on. They are still upstairs on the 3rd floor doing the ballistics evaluation as well as the evaluation of how this occurred through a crime scene perspective.
Have you talked to the doctor? Have you interviewed the doctor yet?
The doctor is still, as we speak, at the hospital. We have officers with him, and I believe they are in the process of having him released from the hospital, at which point he will be interviewed. But as we speak right now, the doctor has not been interviewed, so I cannot confirm everything that we originally proposed to you earlier.
So can we be clear for our viewers? So this gunman walks in, shoots the caseworker, shoots the doctor pulls his own weapon and returns fire and shoots the suspect multiple times in the torso, is that right?
We believe that that is probably what occurred, but the only person right now that can confirm that based on all the evidence that we've pieced together is the doctor, and we'll confirm it when we have the first opportunity when that doctor is interviewed. But we believe that that's what occurred in this particular case. However, we still need to confirm it.
We're told that Mr. Plotz had a criminal record. Can you confirm that to us?
I can't confirm it at this point. I know that there were various detectives working on his criminal background history, so we would expect that to come shortly. However, I did receive information that there were incidents involving Mr. Plotz and hospital personnel, including the doctor's staff, in the past.
What can you tell us more about him?
Yeah, what can you tell us more about that?
I can only tell you that he's a patient. I don't have his background information at this point in time, other than what I just said.
His name again?
A very traumatic time for patients and for employees here, especially the employees that have to return here tomorrow. Is there anything being done to help them out with this traumatic situation, such as counselors to be on hand or anything of that nature for them tomorrow?
Well, needless to say that the administrative staff at Fitzgerald Mercy and the Mercy Health System are devastated right now, and they are meeting with various employees and assessing their needs. So the hospital, it's just in shock, but they are working to make sure that everyone can deal with this situation.
Was this doctor afraid of Mr. Plotz, and is that why he had armed himself?
I don't have that information, and until we interview the doctor, that's unclear at this point.
What's the suspect's name again?
Anything unusual when he walked in? Was there any way to detect this?
No, I believe there was no way because the staff did not give rise to that. In fact, various staff that were there indicated that they only reacted when they heard the loud arguing, which was unusual. So no one believed that he was armed when he entered that building. No one believed he was armed when he came into that office. There was no evidence of that, and everyone was in shock when they heard those shots.
Did the doctor have a gun permit?
I do not know that information. I don't even know if he needed to have a gun permit unless it's concealed about your person.
Were police actually called before the shots rang out then, when the employee opened the door?
Yeah, my understanding, yes, that the 911 was called, but there was a very brief period of time, seconds, minutes, when the door was closed, the police were called, and those shots were fired. So literally seconds.
It's Richard Potts. What's the suspect's name again?
That's my understanding.
Richard Potts.
And tonight you're wrapping up the processing of the scene should be wrapped up tonight. And do you expect the psychiatric unit to be reopened as early as tomorrow?
I do expect that, and I expect that we'll finish our investigation here within the next couple of hours. So I do expect that it'll be up to the hospital administration to open it when they deem it's appropriate. However, we'll be done with the building.
Have you notified next of kin of the woman who died?
We've talked to a brother who was unaware of it, but there are other siblings that we're in the process of attempting to notify.
Is she a mother? Is she a wife? Can you tell us anything about her?
I don't believe I have the information as to. We believe she lived alone in Philadelphia, in an address in Philadelphia, and when we responded to try to notify the kid, no one responded to that door. So I don't know if other than speaking to her brother very briefly, whether she had any children. We don't believe there's a husband.
How about an age on the caseworker?
The caseworker is 53 years old.
And is it Potts, P-O-T-T-S?
I believe it's Plotz, P-L-O-T-T-S, I believe.
Oh, Richard Potts.
Correct.
And his age?
His age, I believe he's in his mid-30s, but I don't have his date of birth at this point. I may have had that at one time, but it's in the investigative.
Okay, and so there you are hearing from District Attorney Jack Whalen describing now the suspect in this case. His name is Richard Plotz. We're told he is in his 30s by District Attorney Jack Whalen, although this is still very much an ongoing investigation. What's new that we've learned in just the last few minutes or so is that in this treatment room, Mr. Plotz was being treated by this doctor as well as being in the same room with that caseworker. At some point, Mr. Plotz pulled a gun on that doctor. Other doctors, in this facility heard that argument, opened the door. They saw that Mr. Plotz had pulled that gun. They shut the door, went to go call police. That's when these shots were fired. We do know that this doctor apparently had shot this suspect. That is still part of an ongoing investigation, however, but it does appear that this doctor, who is going to be okay, shot Mr. Plotz. Mr. Plotz is still in the hospital right now. We're told he is in critical condition, but certainly this is a developing story here at the hospital in Darby Township. For now, we're live in Darby Township. Matt Rivers, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. And as you heard the district attorney say, the hospital was quite surprised at all of this. They just released a statement. Mercy Fitzgerald Hospital did. It reads in part, "We are grateful for the efforts of the emergency responders, and we are working with the Delaware County Police Departments to understand fully the details of the event and to do all we can to assist those affected."